In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt podcast,
Ripe join us here in the studio to unpack motorhome insurance.
And we answer all your questions on all things insurance.
Plus the latest news on our brand new That Leisure Shop.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights, expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and camper vans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Now remember to please follow on your favourite podcast app. And if you're watching on YouTube, click the little bell and hit subscribe.
And in the news this week, a new TLS shop is opening soon. TLS, That Leisure Shop. A That Leisure shop opening soon. A new one. Confused? You won't be.
We're really excited about this. You've just ruined it. So That Leisure Shop is opening.
I suppose you don't want me here for the rest of the podcast, do you?
Maybe. That Leisure Shop is opening a new store in Wellington, just south of Taunton. The guys are really busy getting it ready for you. On the Monday, the 25th of August, we have a soft open, we're calling it, Bank Holiday Monday, where we're taking over the store at Chelston Motorhomes. This is just off junction 26, the M5, but the junction's closed at the minute, so you have to get to it via Taunton or come up from junction 27. That motorway junction is opening in September, and we're having a proper open weekend at the end of September, the last weekend of September, which we'll be talking more about with lots of special offers all weekend. So it's a That Leisure Shop at Chelston Motorhomes, junction 26, the M5.
So really just for the local yokels, isn't it?
No, not at all. No, if you're coming down the M5, come to us from all over the world.
But you can't get off at that junction now.
Right now. So middle of September, the Highways Agency anticipate the motorway junction, which will be brand new dual carriageway, is all going to reopen. So we're excited about that. So our official opening event is the end of September. So stay tuned for more details. And Chelston Motorhomes are having an open weekend too.
Yeah, so give us the date and exactly where it is then.
So it is on junction 26 of the M5 at Chelston Motorhomes. To get to it at the moment, come off at 25 or 27. It's time once again for our Alan Rogers Campsite of the Month feature here on the Motorhome Matt podcast. And this month, we're heading back in time to my childhood, to a favourite destination of mine. We're off to Lofer in Austria. Tell us more, Rob.
Yeah, so this is Camping Grubhof, which is in the near Salzburg, in the Austrian mountains there. Obviously, you know this area really well.
I've actually been a few times, and as I say, I first went there when I was a child on a school ski trip, and I don't know if we stayed here, but it was amazing. It's a beautiful region.
Yeah, and the skiing's perfect for kids there.
Yeah.
So Lofer Resort has got, I think it's got about like 10 cable cars and lifts, about 50 kilometres of slopes, and it's got a lot going on for the kids. They've got like specific runs for the kids. They've got one that's witch themed, so as you're skiing through the woods, you've got massive witches looking down on you, that sort of thing.
But it's not just a great destination in the winter. I actually went back there in a car. It was a 1963 Sunbeam Alpine, and I remember the trip really well. It's beautiful in the summer, and it's very strange going back to a ski resort when there's no snow. I remember that.
Yeah, did you go to the Großglockner Pass?
No, we didn't. That's the really windy road, isn't it? The car kept breaking down. We didn't.
Yeah, no, you'll have seen it on Top Gear.
We daren't do it.
and that sort of thing. All the travel shows, if they're going to Austria, Großglockner Alpine High Road, it's 48 kilometres long, 36 hairpins. It's a toll road, so you've got to pay, and it's not cheap.
From the air, it looks amazing. Doesn't
it? It's €45 for a car. A bit cheaper if you're on a motorbike.
Yeah.
But it gives you those views of those 3,000 metre.
It's on my bucket list to go back on two wheels and tackle it.
Yeah,
one day.
Two-wheel self-powered or no, a petrol engine?
Don't be daft. A motorbike.
Yeah.
And so this site is open all year.
It is. Yeah.
Tell us, what can we see at the site?
So food is an important part of the Austrian lifestyle. Their restaurant offers traditional Austrian fare. In the summer, you can sit out on the terrace. In the winter, they've got 3 sort of tavern-style rooms, so lots of wood, traditional Austrian architecture. Their beer that they sell on site is a German beer.
Yeah.
But because of their location, they're quite close to the Austrian-German border.
Yes.
and it comes from Hofbrauhaus Traunstein, which is about an hour away. So locally sourced beer. After a hard day's skiing or mountain biking in the
hiking
summer
as well,
you've got a sauna. In the low season, it's the price of entry is included. In the high season, there's a modest entry fee, so I think it's like 10-15 euros something. But they've got a pinewood sauna, a herbal sauna, saltwater steam bath, a gym. Robert, who owns the site, Robert Steiner, I've known Robert for, 15 years or something. He's a lovely guy. The family welcome that you get on this site is amazing.
Really, right, okay. I'm putting it on my list when we go on the motorbike. But it's got really strong eco-credentials as well, you were telling me earlier.
It has, yeah. They've invested heavily in their electric infrastructure, so they generate about a quarter of their energy, which, given that they're in a mountainous region, they don't always have the best of weather. About a quarter of their energy comes from solar. They've got 6 EV charge stations, and they've won endless awards for their eco credentials. They've got the EU Eco Label, the Austrian Eco Label, Eco Camping certification. The list, Robert was one of the founder members of the Austrian Camping eco accreditation, so he's really into it.
So a pioneer. Now the pitches here are huge. How big are they?
Yeah, so the smaller pitch sizes are 180 square metres. That's for their standard pitch, and they do a standard pitch, a pitch by the river, and then dogs are welcome as well, so they've got specific dog welcome pitches. Alongside that, they've got some sort of they've got a field for tent camping, so it's a bit undefined. You can sort of pitch where you want, a bit more free for all. Nice for in the summer.
Not when you're skiing.
No, less so in the winter.
And there's a big kids entertainment program in the summer as well.
There is, yeah. So in the summer they offer a children's entertainment program that's based around the natural environment. So you're looking at things like a bit like the forest school thing that we've got going on a bit more in the UK these years. So it's all based around the natural environment, getting kids to interact with the local wildlife and the flora and fauna of the region. They offer whitewater taster sessions in July and August, and Robert's family, the Steiner family, they offer guided hikes once a week from June through to September.
Now, because of where it is, it's skiing season and summer touring as well. This site has 2 peak seasons in its pricing. Tell us more.
It does. So they've got a peak season that's sort of mid-December through to early January, and then obviously they've got the traditional July-August peak season. They do have minimum stays in throughout the year. So in the low season, they've got a 2 or 3 night stay minimum stay, and in the high season, it's a 5-night stay. I mean, you don't really want to go for any less than that length of time.
There's so much to do around there.
Exactly.
It is a beautiful region, I have to say. And there are special offers if you book via the Caravan and Motorhome Club as well.
There are, one word of caution: book early if you're wanting to go in July and August.
Okay.
Every year they are fully booked.
Right, top tip. There we are. So if you're heading to Austria, you now know where to stay. Where are we again?
That's Camping Grubhof, which is near Salzburg.
Brilliant. So to find out more about Camping Grubhof, in fact, all of Alan Rogers' sites, head to mhmp.info/Alan Rogers.
It's the Motorhome Matt podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with That Leisure Shop and sponsored by Ripe. Now, you've heard us talk a lot about Ripe. Have I mentioned Ripe? And their motorhome insurance. So we thought it was about time that we brought them into the studio. There was a bit of a catch here, as I was told to stay away. In fact, I was just given a different address. Oh, says Matt, we're recording it in a different place. And I turned up there. There was nobody there. Do you think that they're trying to tell me something? So, apparently we had a recent post on Facebook. Tell us about it, Matt.
We did. We put an advert out on Facebook that received loads of comments, both positive and negative, all about Ripe and their insurance products. So we started collecting up these comments, good and bad, and I decided that I would present them to Ripe to come back with some answers.
That's fantastic. And so Matt had as a guest Mel Savage, the head of underwriting operations at Ripe.
Just before we start this section of the podcast, as a business regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. Mel won't be advising anything about insurance today, but will be providing you with some insight into the world of insurance and things to consider. Please note, all information is accurate as of the 5th of August 2025. Phew. So Mel, welcome.
Thank you.
You're here on the podcast.
I know.
We last
nice
met in person February this year.
We did.
At the NEC. Yeah. And obviously we've been conversing regularly, which is great, which we're going to talk about today. So thank you so much for coming into the studio.
No problem. Thanks.
I know it was nearly a 6-hour trip for you to get here from Manchester.
Traffic. It was a little bit.
It was a bit arduous. But anyway, thank you so much for coming in. I'm really excited to have you here and to get your insight into the world of insurance. Now, insurance is something that as consumers we don't have a choice about. We have to have it, don't we? And it's not an option. And there's lots of things that we should be considering, which we probably don't. Yeah. And there's lots of myths out there, which I'm hoping today we're going to bust. So tell us a bit about you and your role then at Ripe.
Yeah, so I've worked for Ripe now for 15 years.
Yeah.
Don't look old enough, I know.
You don't? No, I guess it was a very long paper round.
It was. However, so I am the head of underwriting operations. So I work in the beating heart of the business with the customers, get all their feedback. But what I do with that feedback is then help evolve the product into what it is that we need and any changes that we can make.
And you're on the shop floor, as it were, aren't you, with the call centre?
Yeah, so we have a contact centre. There's around 26 people within that contact centre who do a fantastic job at servicing all our customers. Yep. And obviously all their feedback that they hear on the front line gets fed back into me, and obviously then we feed that back into the product.
And how long has Ripe been an insurance provider?
We've been an insurance provider for over 20 years.
Right.
So, we've got a good grip of, we know what we're doing with it. We've always specialised in insuring people's passions. So we've gone from cycle insurance, caravans, all different sports. And that naturally led us into now insuring motorhomes.
So why motorhomes then? Because you've only been in the motorhome market for just under 2 years, not very long at all.
No.
And your growth has been prolific.
Yeah.
For which I take full credit.
Of course.
But it has been spectacular.
It has.
And as you said to me earlier, it's your fastest growing niche within Ripe. I mean, that's a reason to come into the motorhome market, but you didn't know that was going to happen when you stepped into it. What was the attraction to it?
I think because we've always insured people's passions, it just felt natural to go into that, especially after we'd done the caravan market. The caravan market was originally our biggest growing insurance policy, and so it just felt natural to go down that route. We now have over 415,000 policy holders across our whole entire book.
Wow.
But motorhomes, in the space of the time we've been running, has got over 12,000.
Wow.
And it's just been great. I think what's happened is we've kind of come in with a fresh approach to it, and we've really shook up the market. I think with the our thing is that insurance should set you free, and that means
that's the phrase you use, isn't it? Insurance that sets you free.
Exactly. It's great, isn't it? Because we insure people's passions. Yeah, that's what you want to do with your passion. It sets you free. So
now the thing is, though, it sometimes comes with a bit of stigma, doesn't it?
Of course.
Insurance is, let's be honest, it's a bit boring.
It's boring. Yeah, it is.
And we want to feed into this conversation some customer comments.
Yes.
Well, not even customer comments. Not all of them are your customers. They're social media commentators, shall we say. So you might hear your comments. So stay tuned. If you've posted a comment on something I've done where I've been talking about Ripe, you might get name checked. So listen up. So Chris Hunt, you're first. Chris said, I'm with Ripe. Never had to claim, but renewal has been easy and the cheapest quote I got. When I changed my number plate and storage location, they were really helpful, both on the phone and the online chat. Always get Amy, who's really good.
Amy is great.
I promised Chris I'd tell her.
100%.
So have you told her?
I will be getting back to the office and making sure they're aware of that.
So Chris, thanks for that comment. And if you do comment, I do read them. And this has been one of the fascinating things for me about working with you guys as sponsor of the podcast, is that open door to communication.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's been really quite breathtaking, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a minute, and some of the changes you've made as a result of our collaboration together. So tell us, though, what makes Ripe different? Because there are lots of insurance providers to this niche. Some are very established, And there are some names that get bandied around all the time. But what makes Ripe different from all of those?
I think why we've done so well in, just under 2 years is how agile we are. And you just mentioned then about changes that we've made just from the feedback from the community, from our customers, from your community, all of that feedback. That's kind of what I will take, and then how can we evolve the product on that? Things that we've changed in the space of 20 months, we added protected no claims bonus, we've now got commuting cover, and the biggest one, we increased our insured value that we can do up to. So it used to be 100, we now do 120.
And this was big news on the podcast for us, where we reported on it. In fact, Ian Nicol, you commented, Matt, they would not even quote for our motorhome last year as they were not covering motorhomes over 100k. Now, Ian doesn't tell us the value of his motorhome. Yeah. But, Ian, if it was less than 120k, you would now insure it, wouldn't you?
Correct. And we also did some research into why we went for the 120k, and it was because it covered a large market. It did cover a large market. And so, who knows what could happen in the future with that increasing again. I can never make any promises, but at the moment we know now we've got a good portion of the market where we can cover them.
And you are in constant conversation, aren't you, with your underwriter, who are Equity Red Star or ERS.
Yeah.
And they're the people underwriting your policy, and you're presenting it to the consumer. So for you, this is about a constant engagement with them on the offering. Yeah. And constantly evolving it, but it does take time, doesn't it?
It always takes time, these things, but we will always feed back. And ERS are specialists in their market of vehicles. So I think that's great. They're rated 4.7 on Trustpilot, which is it's crazy for an insurance company.
Yeah, that's mad.
Which is great.
It is good.
Those things as well that really help us.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a good insight into Ripe. So thank you for sharing that. I want to help our listeners and consumers get some tips on things, maybe common mistakes they make, and things that they should consider. Because one of the feedbacks I do get is that you wouldn't quote people. People were declined.
Okay.
And I want to try and unpack why that might be. So what can we, as the driver, so the potential prospective policyholder, do to ensure we're getting good cover? And there's the obvious stuff like where am I storing it, what security I've got in it. I'm storing the crown jewels in the garage, well that's probably not going to be too appealing for you. And understanding European cover, these are all key criteria. I think those are fairly obvious, but there's probably some less obvious factors. What tips can you give us?
I think my biggest tip is, obviously, when it's actually going to take out the cover, what we do is always make sure that the information that you're providing is accurate.
Yes.
That's just such a big thing. We actually do some things to help the customer in that sense, to make sure that the information they are providing is accurate. We do third-party checks with people like the DVLA, Claims Underwriting Exchange. We'll also check the motoring convictions that you've put in are correct. What that does then is it means that if it ever did come to a claim, you're not having any issues at that point because we've already sorted it up front. So that really helps people as well. And, there are people who, for example, it will still keep declining. They're saying that they've put all their claims in, but then they forgot a windscreen claim.
Yes, this has come up recently.
Yeah, a windscreen claim is a claim, unfortunately, and so they do need to be declared.
Yeah.
And you would need to declare as well. I think what's important to point out, because we've had this as well, is where you need to declare any claim on any motor vehicle. It's not just on that motorhome. And I think that's really important.
That is a really good point. We have this in our hire business.
Yeah.
If someone has a claim from their hired motorhome, we make the point to them, look, if we're going to make this claim, you are going to need to declare it to your car insurance provider. And you're going to need to do that for what, 5 years?
Yes, 5 years. Yeah.
So that's really important. And you have visibility, don't you, as well, of claims history and through the motor insurance database. And you also have access to the DVLA database. So if someone's giving you misinformation,
we can tell them.
But they might be doing that innocently, or they've moved
100%,
house.
100%. And we're not saying that anyone is, telling us information falsely. We would never do that. And I think, what we're doing is we're telling you that so that we can make sure it is correct.
Yeah.
So if we're saying to you, go back to your insurer and just double check the date. Sometimes you could have just got the date wrong. It's easy. Who can remember 5 years ago?
So it really is about, for us, it's about getting our ducks in a row.
Correct.
Before we go for application for a policy.
100%.
So Andy said, wouldn't give us a quote. This is you.
Yeah.
We had 4 claims between us. So I'm guessing he's driving with someone else.
Yeah.
So 4 claims between us. Didn't matter that 2 of them were just window chip repairs. The third was a windscreen, and the last was a no-fault accident. Goodness knows where he's driving if he's had 3 claims on a windscreen. But the point is here, window chip repairs count, don't they?
They do.
And the more claims you have, the less appetite ERS have to insure the consumer through RIPE.
Yeah, correct. And, we're not saying no because because it's a personal thing against you or anything like that. It's purely to protect everyone, all our policyholders, because the more claims that come in, the more premiums will go up.
Of course.
And so, because the natural thing is we need to be covering those claims.
And people forget this.
Yeah.
The way you pay for claims is by charging premiums.
Correct.
And they go in a big bucket of cash, and the claims come out of that bucket.
Yeah.
So if there's more claims, there's higher premiums.
Higher.
Yeah. Declan Simmons made the comment, I tried to get a quote. They said they wouldn't quote me and wouldn't even give me a reason. First time in 30 years I've ever heard that. Well, Declan, I'm guessing he probably had something wrong in the information he'd given you.
Yeah, I think if the information isn't correct or doesn't match, or it could be that the information that he has provided us with does not meet our criteria, then unfortunately we can't provide cover. It's not that, we're purposely withholding information or anything like that. We'll always try to give you an answer as to why. It could be claims history, it could be conviction history. Sometimes as well, it can be we do credit checks, and that's not because you are, we're checking your credit history as such.
No.
If you think about it this way, Matt, I don't know you. Yeah, you ring up, you want a quote for insurance.
Yeah.
I don't know you personally. So what I'll do is I'll use, credit checks or reference agencies, things like that, to double check, who is this person?
So all you're doing is corroborating data with the systems that are out there. Mm-hmm. And if there's something doesn't align, your computer says no.
Correct. Yeah.
But people take that very personally, Mel.
They do. I know. And I understand why, but honestly, it's not. As an insurer, any insurer out there will have a criteria that we need to meet to provide insurance. We've done everything we can to try to make it as accessible to as many people as possible, but there's still always going to be that risk appetite that the insurer, ERS, the criteria that they will let us stick to. Yeah,
so as I said earlier, it really is about getting your ducks in a row and making sure all the data you've got together is accurate.
Yeah.
So you can corroborate it, and you are ensuring a safer risk.
Correct.
Because that's what it's all about for you, isn't it? So there's a couple of big hot topics that have come up over the last year or so on the podcast, and one is business use. Mm-hmm. And you have just introduced the facility for people to commute in a camper van.
Yeah.
Importantly, we notice only in a camper van.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? Why is that important?
It was off feedback from customers that we'd been speaking to, also feedback from your listeners and the questions that we had. And based on that feedback, we knew there was an appetite for it in the market. So therefore, we spoke with the ERS and we got that added.
So often the case that a camper van is a second vehicle, isn't it, on the drive? And someone's using it to go to work, and now they can. And that's not very common.
No, it's not.
To have business use where you're using it for work purposes.
Yeah, so with business use, we can't provide cover if you're commuting to more than one place of work.
Right, okay.
So that is what is classed as business use. So business use is when you're using your vehicle for commuting is one place of work, business use is multiple.
Yeah.
So we can't cover that side of it, but commuting for going to and from one place of work, we can provide cover for that.
Got it. Okay, good to clarify. Thank you. Now, the other one that's come up recently is about motorhomes and camper vans that are perceived to be off-road capable.
Yeah.
So there's this huge trend for going off-grid. People don't want to stay in campsites so much anymore.
Yeah.
And manufacturers are encouraging this trend by creating these vehicles that I call them Chelsea camper vans, because the only time they're going to go off-road is up and down a pavement. That's probably the reality. But we've covered this in depth before about going off-road. But really it is about the policyholder demonstrating common sense here, isn't it? Because this comes up time and time again. And it is about driving on a sensible road that's classified as a road, not a cliff edge where the edge is crumbling away. And in that scenario, if the van or the motorhome was to roll down the cliff, you as the policyholder have not shown due diligence in how you're driving it.
Yeah.
How are you expected to ensure that?
I think that's the thing. I think, as a policy holder, you can't just assume that you're covered for everything and anything.
No.
There has to be an element where you need to use, as we say, your due care and diligence, and I think I always say, act as if you're not insured.
See, that's really interesting. I've never heard that from an insurer before.
Act as if you're not insured.
Act as if you're not insured.
So, for example, if you weren't insured, would you go on that road?
No.
Probably not.
No.
And if you think probably not, then don't do it.
Good advice. And why should you take it on the chin for my decision to drive on it? I mean, It's not reasonable, is it? There we are. Good advice. So, Mike Coleman said, I just got a quote from Ripe. They were twice the price of other companies. I can hear him typing it really hard. He's obviously not very happy. Why was that?
Again, it's completely depends on the information that we're provided with as to what quote we can give. We will always try to price that appeals to the masses. However, there has to be some form of criteria. We're not going to meet everyone's expectations. I think if the thing is that if one company did do that, we'd all be insured with the same company.
Yeah, very true. That would just be boring, wouldn't it?
Exactly. So different insurers...
We'd have nothing to talk about.
So different insurers do have different appetites.
Yeah, it's about core criteria for you. Conversely, William John Jones writes, I'm with them January this year, the best quote I got. So well done, William. You hit the criteria. Yeah. He got his ducks in a row.
Exactly.
All lined up. Now, there's another big topic here, which this only really affects people buying a brand new motorhome.
Yeah.
And this has been an issue for you, and we've been feeding this back, and you've changed things. And I'm dead chuffed about this. So Di Jones said, hi Matt, just tried to obtain a quote on a brand new motorhome. I collect it on the 2nd of September. So this is the key. It's not registered yet. It's in the future that they're picking it up. But Ripe wouldn't quote me as the vehicle is not registered yet. 2 other companies were willing to quote. Why is that?
So what happens is we get the registration. For example, the registration
plate. The
number plate.
Yeah.
We put the registration in. That calls out to the DVLA and it brings back all the information for us. So originally, when we first launched 20 months ago, that was how we did it.
Yes.
After the feedback that came in and that we'd have to, once it is registered, it then takes up to 24 hours to even update on the DVLA.
Yeah.
We then changed our system so that what we can do now is we can basically override that check. So when it's checking and going, I can't find anything, we can actually override that, and now we can put that on cover. So even though, the only thing I will say is though, it might, as long as you have a number plate that we can actually apply to the policy, then we can put it on cover.
So Luke's commented, Luke Simpson is in the trade, and he says, from my understanding and experience, they can't quote or insure an unregistered motorhome. But what he's saying is you can.
I can, yeah.
Unlike all other major insurers, right paying for my customers. So if that's the experience when trying to get their insurance, what's it going to be like when it goes wrong?
Yeah.
So Luke's kind of drawing a bit of a conclusion there, isn't he? There's no correlation between this little hiccup and a claim, is there?
No. And I think this is the thing is, if anything, by us initially going, no, we can't do it, that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because what we're not doing is saying we will cover you and then later down the line not covering you.
No, that would just be a pain.
That's worse.
Yeah.
I'd rather we're always up front, and then if we can make changes to things, then we will do like we already have done.
So the advice then for the consumers, if you're buying a new motorhome, is get the registration number from the dealer and give that to you, and then you can provide a certificate of cover, a cover note.
Well, the policy document,
Right.
We can then provide a policy
and
document.
then they can go and register the dealer can register the vehicle for them as insured, and away you go. Brilliant. So that opens the door to lots of people who are in this kind of void between paying the balance and picking the vehicle up, and it needs to be insured with that number plate. Let's talk trackers and immobilizers. We've been talking trackers for quite a while, and on the podcast for a long time, and things are changing with trackers. Both how they work and also the requirement from insurers for people to have them, but also immobilizers, because there's a trick people are missing here, isn't it? And I'll tell you what it is in a sec. Ian Davis said you have to have a Thatcham approved tracker and immobilizer even though the value is under £50,000. No thanks. Why wouldn't you not want a tracker and immobilizer, Ian? I don't know. They seem really sensible things to have. But the point here is the immobiliser that's factory fitted,
Yeah.
the category 2 one, is a Thatcham rating. So people often ring you, do they, and say, oh, I haven't got a Thatcham immobiliser.
Yeah.
Well, it's factory fitted. If they're telling you they haven't, they haven't.
Exactly, and I think they'll do it online as well. So you'll have a couple of options when you take out a policy or when you get a quote. One of them will be factory fitted, and then you'll have your Thatcham approved immobilisers.
Right.
People are naturally going for the factory fitted, and then it's declining them. However, because obviously depending on the value of your vehicle, you do need a certain Thatcham.
Yes.
Now, all that they need to do though, just check in their vehicle handbook. You will find a lot of factory fitted immobilisers
are Thatcham
approved.
So if it says category 2 for your immobiliser, that is a Thatcham rating. So your immobiliser is Thatcham rated, category 2. When you fit an alarm, it normally becomes category 2 to 1. But category 2 is Thatcham, and that's enough for you, isn't it? You're happy with that?
Yeah, as long
the
as it's
tracker
approved.
though, so for Ian's motorhome, you wanted a tracker, even though his was worth less than £50,000. It seems to vary. Why
it
is
does.
that?
So it varies dependent on the make, the model, and the value.
Right. Okay.
So there's quite a few variables that it can come to, but the good thing is our system will always tell you if you need one.
Right.
So as soon as you put in the value, you make in your model, well, you put your reg in, and that'll bring through your make and model and the value. It will then, when you get to that question, it will then tell you if you need one.
And Mark Vincent said, Ripe don't want to know if you have a Ghost immobiliser. It's not Thatcham rated. True. It's a shame, as Ghost are excellent. But the key is here, it doesn't matter what make it is, the immobiliser, it has to be Thatcham recognised. I mean, they are the main body, aren't they, in this trade?
Correct.
For approval. So it has to be Thatcham. There's no point in wasting money on something else. It doesn't matter how good it is, it has to be Thatcham approved. That's the magic, isn't it? The magic word.
Thatcham approved is just market standard.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something you can corroborate in terms of the standard.
Yeah.
So let's talk about camper conversions, because this is a strong suit for you, where you've really kind of taken the market by storm.
Yeah.
You're quite happy to insure a self-build as well as a pro conversion. But what do people need to submit to you to ensure, what are the criteria to get insurance on a homemade camper van?
Yeah. So one of the great things about us, which I think people have found, is that we don't ask for photos up front. We don't ask for any documentation up front. Basically, what we say is that it either needs to be registered as a motor caravan with the DVLA.
Okay, that can be tough.
But if it's not, there's a way around it.
Go on.
So all it needs to do, you just need to fit a set criteria that we've set. Those things include a permanently fixed bed, a fixed storage like your wardrobes or cupboards, permanently secured dining and seats.
Right.
The table can be removed though, to make a bed, things like that. The cooking and heating installation does need to be done professionally. That's the only bit with it. Obviously it's a DIY, but you still want the safe bits to be done.
And do you need corroboration of that professional installation?
They'd need to prove that it was professionally
How
installed.
do people do that? With a HAB check or?
Yeah, so they'll get like an installation certificate, a safety certificate, things like that, and that would be fine. It needs a fixed water tank as well, and then a separate door. So don't just have your driver's side door.
Yeah.
And also windows, both sides in the living area.
Right.
As long as you've got that, we can insure it.
And there are also only a few criteria that you're concerned about if I change them.
Yeah, for modifications.
Yeah. So you talk us through those.
Yeah, of course. So we don't need to know the ins and outs of all your modifications. Some people will want to know if you change the paintwork, if you change, all of these things. We don't. What we do say, though, is that if it's anything that involves transmission, engine or braking, then we do need to know about it.
Right, okay.
So what we do, we provide a list of things where you can tick. So if you're taking out a policy on our website, for example, it'll say, have you got any modifications? And there'll be a list of them. There's also an other option. People sometimes can choose that other option for something that actually we don't need to know about. And then what'll happen is it might go, well, we can't cover you then because we don't know what the modification is.
Okay.
We do try to make it as clear as possible that just tell us about things that are transmission, engine and braking.
Right.
Just so that it is clearer.
So changing the wheels and tyres on the van don't matter?
No, so your alloys don't matter at all. Your tyres, it depends on the tyres. Are they affecting your performance? Increasing your performance, things like that, then it's something to consider because that could be classed.
And if people are unsure, it's best just to ring you, isn't it?
Just check with us, 100%.
Because you are a team of real people in a call centre in Manchester. and which you lead, as we said earlier. So they can just pick up the phone.
Yeah.
It's worth saying, though, that your time to answer the phone is at the moment, because of your success, a little bit longer than you'd like.
It has definitely taken us by storm.
You've had a bit of a challenging summer, haven't you?
It has definitely been challenging. You know, summer is our busiest time anyway. And then when you throw in all the motorhomes ones now that we're getting, all the calls and etc. and things like that, we are doing our best though. And, you know, we're not doing it on purpose. We're not like these companies where we'll have you waiting for 15 minutes to speak to us.
What is the average call answer time at the moment?
At the moment, it is taking about 6 minutes to get through to us.
Still not too bad.
It doesn't feel too bad, but I get it as well when you... Yeah.
What would you like it to be?
Under a minute.
Yeah, that would be great. And how do you get to that? I guess more bums in seats, as it were.
It's something that we're addressing at the moment.
Yeah.
You know, how can we do this so that next year we are getting there?
It's also worth mentioning as well that you cover the contents of all our stuff. You know, we're absolute muppets for buying loads of stuff to go in our motorhomes. You know, we've got a shop here and there's loads of stuff in there that you didn't know you needed. There's loads of stuff in there that you don't need, but people love to buy it. And, you know, we're mugs for it. But the important thing here is make sure you keep a list of it. Keep the receipts. Maybe take photos of it, because in the event of a total loss, you will pay out for those contents, won't you? Up to £5,000.
Yeah.
Or a percentage of the value of the vehicle.
Yeah, so we'll cover up to £5,000 or 15% of the vehicle value, whichever is the lesser. So all these things do add up, and like you say, you can never take pictures of it. You know, keep your receipts, because you can never have enough evidence.
No, and don't keep the receipts in the van.
No, that'd be a good idea. Yeah,
keep them at home, just in case of a total loss. You know, there's a fire or something. You need the evidence, don't you?
You do,
because you will pay out for it. It's part of the policy.
It's part of the policy.
I think we forget that. As we were saying earlier, right at the beginning, about all these things that you need to consider when taking an insurance policy. I think the big thing we only think about is the premium, but not actually what's being covered. You know, this is important.
And I think it's really important that people read the policy wordings, like I was saying, you know, because the things that you need to look at what is not covered, because that's probably your most important thing to check for.
Yes, of course.
Because if there's something in there that you don't like, well, it might not be the policy for you. So you just need to make sure. And it's, you know, it's not like bedtime reading or anything like that. You know, I don't think that, but it is really important. And I think, you know, when we have seen things, when the claims are declined, it's not because it's on purpose. And I know that insurance had a bit of a bad rep and, you know, things like that. And there is a stigma around it, but it's we can't decline for no reason. We are heavily regulated, and the reason why we would have declined will be in your policy wording. So that's
there's
really
something
important.
The policy holder has not told you or done wrong.
Correct.
And that's a big point there about the regulation. The FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, that regulate you means that if there's a chance to pay out, you don't have a choice. You are paying out, aren't you?
Oh yeah, 100%.
And in fact, you have a willingness. You want to pay out. You know, you want that customer to have the best experience possible. And it's easier to say this, of course, but it's true. Otherwise, you don't exist.
Exactly. You know, we want to be known for being the best motorhome insurer that we can be, and we don't do things lightly. It's not because we want to.
Love that. So why then did you choose to sponsor the Motorhome Matt podcast? We're dead proud that you did. We're chuffed to bits. And it's great for me to be able to talk so informedly about you and the team and the policy. But what was driving your decision to do that?
Do you know what it is? I think you have access to a real community of you know, motorhomers, and you know, when we're at the shows and things like that, they'll come up to us and they'll speak about you, you know, and so that's great for us, because then what we do is we're learning directly from owners. We obviously have our own customers that we can learn from, etc., but you giving us access to that wider community as well has massively helped us. And as we keep saying, the changes that we've made in a short space of time shows that we do take that on board. You know, that brand association, we love a bit of orange. You see, so you know,
you are a good colour fit. It has to be said.
You see, so you know, things like, you know, that's great. And I think as we have grown and our policy count has grown on motorhomes, we can definitely see how this partnership has helped us get there.
That's good to hear.
So I think it's great.
Now, I love innovation. I'm always talking about it. I crave it, in fact. And I love when a new brand comes into our market looking to innovate and kind of stir things up a bit. You've definitely done that, for sure. And that's evidenced by all the social comments we get. And yet, you're not a good fit for everybody. It's not possible for you to insure everybody. As you said, that would just be boring. But so many people were talking to me all the time saying, Matt, we've just saved £500 on our premium because of Ripe. Thank you. So thank you for entering our market and making a difference, because insurance is boring. We have to have it. And the fact that there's an element of fun to it and orange is a great thing. So Mel, just by wrapping up, some final tips for our listeners and viewers on buying and renewing their insurance this year. What should they consider?
I think the main things is to make sure it's got the cover that you need. Go through your policy wording, make sure that everything that is saying it's not covered, you're happy with, because if you're not, then in the event of a claim, that is not covered. I think, making sure that you're insured for the correct limits that you need as well. That's a big one. If if the motorhome is worth 100,000, make sure that it's insured for 100,000.
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to cover as well, things like breakdown. Do you need that? If you need breakdown cover, then make sure that you add it on either when you purchase the policy or when you're renewing the policy. One of the things just to point out with us is that you can't add on breakdown cover mid-term. So the reason why I'm just making a point of that is because you don't want to be in a sticky situation. I can tell you the reason for that, and that is purely because you can't, if you try to claim on a policy, on a breakdown policy, obviously a lot of people, and I'm not saying everyone, can try to make a claim when the event has already happened, when they've already broken down.
But that's the same with any breakdown service, isn't it?
So it's just to make sure that we're not declining people unnecessarily.
And does a breakdown call out constitute a claim?
No.
Right.
Not on a motor vehicle policy. No.
Right, okay.
So that is a different.
So when we're getting our ducks in a row, I keep saying that, but it's true, we need to make sure we are, that we don't need to consider a breakdown we might have had, but it's actual physical claims where we're being paid out by an insurer for a claim.
Where any theft, loss, damage,
on any vehicle, on any policy.
At all, any policy at all. And I think ensuring that you put whether it's fault or non-fault is important as well, and getting that right.
Yeah.
Now, it's annoying, I know, but if there is no one for your insurer to claim off, it goes down as a fault claim.
Yeah,
they're not
that
saying
is annoying.
It's annoying, and it's not. We're not saying you're at fault. It could be that someone has hit you and driven off, but there's no one to claim off. Therefore,
now I know there's another facet to your policy which we've not talked about. There's no claims discount.
Yes.
So normally with a motorhome, you accrue no claims discount. You can only apply that to another motorhome, but you allow it to be applied to another vehicle.
Yeah. So basically, if you have earned your no claims bonus on a private motor vehicle, then we can put that on your motorhome policy. However, with stipulations, it can't be being used on another vehicle at the time.
At the same time.
So
that car needs to have been sold.
Yeah.
That no claims can be applied to the motorhome.
Yeah.
And then if you sell the motorhome, you can then use that no claims.
With the no claims bonus.
See, in my experience, that's quite unusual.
Yeah.
We had a quote here from Norman Allen, and Norman said, "I've heard a lot of bad reports about them, that's Ripe, ripping people off by not paying out." I did challenge him and said, "What, really? Is that true?" But that's not your experience, is it? And you see the claims.
Exactly, and especially with the motorhome claims, as I've said, ERS have got a Trustpilot rating of 4.7. You don't get that by just declining every claim. I think the thing is that if someone generally is going to make a post on social media or on a review site or something, it's because something's happened.
Yes.
It's very rare someone's going to go, "This is great." Yeah. So for the fact that ERS have got that Trustpilot rating, says a lot.
And it's true to say that with insurance, when people have a bad experience, they're going to share it. When they have a good experience, they rarely do.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I've been overwhelmed, and I don't exaggerate when I say that, genuinely overwhelmed by the number of people who talk positively about their Ripe experience.
Yeah, that's great.
Where they've saved money, the cover's been better, it's been almost a breath of fresh air. Dare I say that about insurance? But it's been true. That has been my experience. Genuinely, I have never, Norman, heard anyone complain to me about you ripping people off and not paying out. Not once. Yeah. And I think I probably would have heard about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And if that has happened, you'd want to know about it as well, wouldn't you? If that's been someone's
100%.
experience.
And I think, it's that stigma from insurance of that people think a certain way, but check your policy documents and your wordings, and that will tell you what you're covered for.
And the big thing my experience of Ripe has been your total focus on the customer and the customer first decision making process that you go through. It really has been genuinely been my experience. Yeah, it's good. I want to finish with a nice comment, because I've thrown quite a lot of nasty comments at you, and you've taken them really well, I have to say. So Paul Sparrow, thanks for your comment, Paul. Paul said, I am with Ripe. You recommended them, and I must say they have been comparative yet again in my renewal. So I'm with them once again for another year.
Oh, happy days.
So well done. It's the Motorhome Matt podcast, brought to you by That Leisure Shop and sponsored by Ripe. And it's time for our Q&A. And this week I'm not joined by Keith, but we've kept Mel around a little bit longer from Ripe. Mel, we're going to fire a couple of questions at you to answer. Okay. So it's an insurance-themed Q&A. Thank you for sticking around. We're going to start with Mike in Nottingham. He says, Hi, Matt. After your podcast on trackers, I contacted our company as we were heading to Scandinavia. They had no idea if it would work and told us to check the 2G network in each country ourselves. Wow. Potentially, we would have no insurance cover without a working device. 2G is being withdrawn, so many people won't realise this issue. Also, Ripe declined to quote me as my immobiliser was factory fitted and not aftermarket. Very strange. Many thanks and keep up with the podcasts. So we've got a couple of things in here. Let's stick with the tracker first. So the 2G network, we've covered this at length. We did an episode called Is Your Motorhome Tracker Going to Stop Working? So the 2G network is being switched off here in the UK and already all across Europe. Right. If I've got a tracker on my motorhome and it works on the 2G network, and I go to Scandinavia or Switzerland where there is now no 2G network pretty much, am I insured if you require me to have a tracker?
For the insurance to be active, the tracker needs to be active.
So the answer is I'm not insured?
Correct.
Right. This is a huge issue because the tracking industry is just not talking about this. So we have opened the lid on this can of worms. And if you've got, thank you, if you've got a 2G tracker on your vehicle, you need to ring the tracking company and check. And if it's 2G, get a 4G replacement. They will replace it for you. It may carry a cost. But this is really important because if you're going to a foreign country where the 2G network is being switched off or no longer being maintained, your tracker doesn't work. Therefore, you're not insured. So go and do it. The other half was about the immobiliser. Now, Mike said his immobiliser was factory fitted. You said earlier in this episode, check your handbook. Yeah. Because a factory fitted immobiliser, if it's category 2, that's Thatcham.
Yeah. And that's all they need to do is check that. And I get it's easy to do, just say factory fitted, because that's what it is. But it is worth double checking.
So, Mike, if it's factory fitted, it could be category 2. That's Thatcham approved. That's enough for you, isn't it? If you need an immobiliser to be insured, Cat 2 is sufficient. Next question, Michelle Windsor from Stoke-on-Trent. She says, Hi, I'm hoping you can help as I've spent days researching Google and can't find an answer. I have a Bailey Adamo and have been doing a lot of touring recently. How many consecutive nights can you spend in your motorhome before you are considered living in it, which is not its intended use, and therefore you invalidate the warranty and I suppose the insurance?
Yeah. You should always check with your own insurer, but with Ripe, with us, we will insure you up to 9 months travelling in the UK.
Right, okay, so 9 months. Yeah. Beyond that, you're considered living in it,
or and no longer insured. Classed as full timing, so we wouldn't cover that. But anything up to 9 months within the UK, fine.
So you don't cover full timing at all?
No.
Right. Okay. So there you are. Lesson learned. In terms of warranty, I'm not aware that any motorhome manufacturer would remove the warranty on a motorhome because you're living in it. I'm not sure they can, but we might talk to some manufacturers about that in the future. Mel, I just want to say a massive thank you for coming in into the studio. I know it was a long drive, 5.5 hours. You've got to drive back now. So thank you so much for coming in, and for Andrew's with you as well. It's been great to have you here. And just to put your head above the parapet, really, you've been such a great sport, taking some real criticism on the chin. And it's not an easy job to do. So it's been truly insightful. I trust people will receive it positively and have learned something, because insurance is so important. As we said at the beginning, we have to have it. We don't have a choice. Yeah. But we do have a choice who we insure with.
Yeah.
And it is about knowledge and education and making sure we understand what's in the policy, not just how much it's costing.
Exactly.
And sometimes, not always the case, the best insurance is not always the cheapest, but sometimes it could be. So, yeah, read the policy docs and really understand. Thank you again for coming in. Thank you for choosing to work with us as sponsor of the podcast.
No.
It's great to have you. And thank you again for bringing Ripe into our world of motorhomes and campervans. You are making a massive difference to thousands of people. And I trust you'll continue to keep doing that.
Yes, thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mel. Remember, you can get 15% off your insurance premium with Ripe by clicking the link in the description.
And Ripe are also giving away over £3,000 worth of prizes in their big summer giveaway.
Prices include an insurance policy with Ripe for your van up to the value of £1,000.
A £650 voucher from Glauning, a solo stove bundle worth £600 as well.
Plus our very own Pathway 4G mobile router and a £150 voucher from That's Leisure Shop.
To enter, all you need to do is go to mhmp.info/ripe summer. I'll repeat that, mhmp.info/ripe summer, and you could be one of the lucky winners.
The competition closes on the 14th of September, so be quick.
That's competition closing the 14th of September. Well, that was a busy one, but not for me, eh, Matt?
You're going to reduce your fee?
No. So how do people get in touch?
We'd love it if you did. If you got a question, please ask it, because I always say this, I'm sure it's shared by hundreds of other people too. Head to mhmp.info/ask Matt. You can record it by clicking the orange button or fill in the form and we'll read it for you.
And remember to follow on your favourite podcast app and subscribe on YouTube.